Sometimes, the first signs of a changing economy are not found in the headlines or the stock market. They are found in the small choices people make every day. A decision to cook at home instead of ordering out. A pause before replacing something that still works. A quiet shift toward what is simple, practical, and lasting. These are not just money-saving decisions. They are reminders of how people adapt with care, with thoughtfulness, and with wisdom. Especially for those who have lived through financial challenges before, these changes feel familiar. They come not from fear, but from experience. From knowing that hard times come and go, but the way we respond to them says a lot about who we are. In this video, we will explore 11 everyday changes that often appear when the economy starts to slow down. Some of these changes may be things you are already doing without even thinking about it. Others may help you reflect on how to live a little more simply, without losing the things that matter most. This is not a list of complaints or worries. It is a reflection on how people, especially those with years of life behind them, choose to live with dignity and intention, no matter what is happening in the world. Because in the end, wisdom is not just what we know. It is how we use what we know to care for ourselves, our families, and our communities. Let us begin. 1. Holding on to small joys. When money becomes tight, most people stop spending on large luxuries, but many still make space for one or two small things that bring comfort. These are not extravagant purchases. They are little joys: a familiar tea, a simple craft supply, a secondhand novel, or even a $5 tube of lipstick. These things might seem minor, but they provide a sense of calm and normalcy during uncertain times. Choosing to hold on to these small comforts is not about waste. It is about preserving a sense of self. In a world that can feel unstable, a small routine or ritual, like putting on a favorite scent or lighting a candle in the evening, can be grounding. It tells the body and the heart, I still matter. My peace still matters. Many people who have lived through previous recessions remember doing the same thing. They gave up bigger outings or delayed home projects, but they kept one gentle habit just for themselves. Sometimes it was reading, sometimes gardening, sometimes a weekly call with a friend. The item or activity might be small, but the message behind it is large. Letting ourselves feel good in small ways does not go against financial caution. It supports it. When we protect our peace, we are more resilient, and in difficult seasons, that is not just helpful. It is essential. 2. Choosing clothes that last. During a recession, it is common for people to step back from shopping for clothing. But the shift is not just about buying fewer items. It is also about how people think about what they already own. They begin to see value in comfort, durability, and timelessness over style or trend. For many women over 50 or 60 years old, this is already a familiar mindset. Over the years, you learn what fits, what holds up, and what no longer needs replacing. That old cardigan you reach for every fall, or those shoes you have repaired more than once, they are part of a quiet wardrobe that works, no matter what the economy is doing. Clothing becomes less about image and more about use. People often rediscover the satisfaction of wearing something well-loved. They also begin to repair rather than replace. A simple needle and thread can extend the life of a good blouse or pair of slacks. Even polishing old shoes or brushing off a winter coat feels different when you are being intentional. In hard times, dressing becomes less about what others see and more about how you feel. The priority shifts from fashion to function. And instead of chasing trends, people start asking, what do I truly need? What already serves me well? These questions are not just practical. They are wise, and they lead to habits that often stay long after the recession ends. 3. Letting go of hair dye and embracing natural beauty. One of the first expenses people let go of in a recession is frequent hair appointments. Salons can be costly, especially for those who maintain color treatments every 4 to 6 weeks. Over time, that adds up to hundreds or even thousands of dollars a year. When times are tough, that spending begins to feel less necessary. Many women, especially those in their 60s or older, find themselves rethinking why they color their hair at all. What once felt like a routine becomes a question. Am I doing this for myself or out of habit? And little by little, more people are choosing to let the gray grow in. This decision is not about giving up. It is about making peace with what is natural. Gray hair is not something to hide. It is a sign of life, of experience, of having made it through. And with the right care and cut, it can look just as elegant as any shade from a bottle. For some, going natural might start as a financial decision, but many report that it brings emotional freedom as well. No more constant touch-ups, no more damage from chemicals, no more pressure to look younger than you are. Instead, there is a new kind of pride, one based on acceptance, simplicity, and self-respect. Letting go of hair dye can feel like a big change, but for many, it becomes one of the most freeing choices they make. 4. Cooking more, ordering less. One of the most noticeable changes during a recession is how people eat. Dining out, once seen as a treat or a convenience, starts to feel like an expense that adds up too quickly. The cost of delivery fees, tips, and restaurant prices can easily turn a simple dinner into a $30 event. When people begin to tighten their budgets, takeout and restaurant meals are among the first things to go. In place of that, more home kitchens come alive. People begin cooking more meals from scratch. They return to familiar recipes or learn new ones that stretch ingredients further. Soups, casseroles, slow cooker meals, and freezer-friendly dishes become staples again. There is a renewed focus on planning ahead, using what is already in the pantry, and making meals that can last more than one night. For older adults, this is often a return to what they already know well. Many grew up in homes where food was made at home, shared, and often saved for later. During lean times, that wisdom becomes valuable once again. You do not need to eat less. You just eat smarter. Cooking at home also offers a sense of control. You know what is in your food. You can choose how much to make. And for many, it becomes more than just a money-saving habit. It becomes an act of care for yourself, for your health, and for those you cook for. When you choose to step back from takeout, you are not just spending less. You are taking back something important, the rhythm of your home and the nourishment of your body. 5. Traveling less, exploring closer to home. When the economy slows down, one of the first things people pause is travel. Flights, cruises, hotels, and long-distance road trips start to feel like luxuries rather than necessities. It is not just about the upfront cost. It is about all the smaller expenses that come with it: gas, meals out, parking, tips, and more. Over time, those numbers add up, and what once felt easy now seems out of reach. But just because people travel less does not mean they lose their sense of adventure. Many begin to explore what is nearby. They take drives along country roads, stop at a local farm stand, or visit a state park they have passed 100 times, but never stop to see. Others rediscover the library, the community center, or the joy of sitting on their own porch with a cup of coffee and a good book. For women who have spent much of their lives caring for others, travel has often been about escape or rest. But in tight times, rest takes on new forms. You do not have to go far to feel refreshed. Even a walk through a familiar neighborhood can feel like a new experience if you slow down and notice the world around you. Some call these slow adventures. No itinerary, no crowds, just time, presence, and the freedom to go nowhere in particular. These small outings often bring more peace than a packed trip ever could. You return not with souvenirs, but with stories, fresh air in your lungs, and the deep satisfaction of having lived fully in the moment, even just a few miles from home. 6. Delaying big purchases. Fixing what we have. One of the clearest signs that people are adjusting to economic pressure is the decision to delay or avoid big purchases. A new washing machine, refrigerator, television, or even furniture might move from the want list to the wait list. The truth is, if something still works, even if it is old or a little noisy, many decide it is good enough for now. This way of thinking is not new. It comes from generations of lived experience. Many women over 60 grew up in homes where the first instinct was to fix what was broken, not toss it out. Sewing up a small tear in the cushion, gluing a loose table leg, replacing the cord on a lamp. These were normal parts of life. And now, those habits are returning. Not because people are being forced to live with less, but because they are choosing to make the most of what they already have. There is a quiet satisfaction in repairing something instead of replacing it. It feels empowering. It reminds you that you are capable and resourceful. And sometimes it even becomes meaningful. That old chair might not match the newest styles, but it holds memories. That hand-me-down dresser may have nicks and scratches, but it has served your family for years. In a world that often pushes newer is better, choosing to care for what you already own is a quiet act of rebellion and of wisdom. It says, I do not need more to be content. I need to appreciate what I already have. 7. Downsizing gifts and celebrations. Celebrations often carry the weight of expectation. Gifts, decorations, meals out, and sometimes even travel. But during a recession, those expectations begin to shift. People start to ask, what truly makes a celebration meaningful? And more often than not, the answer is not about money. Instead of expensive store-bought presents, many choose to give something from the heart: a homemade pie, a handwritten letter, or a framed photo filled with memories. Instead of dining out at a restaurant, families gather in kitchens to cook together. Instead of wrapping dozens of gifts, they might play games, sing songs, or simply sit together and talk. These changes are not signs of lack. They are signs of presence. When people stop trying to impress and start trying to connect, the whole tone of a celebration changes. It becomes warmer, slower, more personal. For older adults, especially women who often carry the emotional work of the holidays, this shift can be a relief. There is no longer pressure to outdo the previous year. There is no shame in saying, let us keep it simple this time. In fact, that simplicity often brings more joy. The most remembered gifts are rarely the most expensive. They are the ones that carry meaning. A song sung by a grandchild, a quilt stitched with care, a story told at the table that makes everyone laugh. These are the treasures that do not fade with time, and they cost little or nothing to give. 8. Spending more time at home and making it cozy. When going out feels costly or overwhelming, home starts to take on new meaning. It becomes more than just a place to sleep. It becomes the center of life again. And for many, that return to the home is not a burden. It is a blessing. People begin to look at their spaces differently. They move furniture around to freshen up a room without spending a dime. They pull out old blankets, light a candle, and make a quiet corner for reading or resting. Some return to hobbies they once loved: knitting, scrapbooking, baking. Others finally go through old boxes, sort through family photos, or organize the recipe cards passed down through generations. Making home cozy is not about perfection. It is about comfort. It is about feeling safe, grounded, and at peace. For older adults, many of whom have spent years making homes for others, this shift is often deeply satisfying. It is a chance to care for themselves in the same way they once cared for their families. Even something as simple as brewing a pot of tea, turning on soft music, and sitting down with a favorite book becomes an act of restoration. And in the process, people often realize they do not miss the noise or the rush of the outside world as much as they thought they would. During a recession, staying home may be a necessity, but making it feel warm, lived in, and loved, that is a choice. A wise one, a healing one. 9. Helping more, even with less. One of the most beautiful things that happens during hard times is the way people come together. Even when money is tight, generosity does not disappear. In fact, it often grows stronger. Neighbors help neighbors. Friends share meals. Families come together, not to spend more, but to support each other in ways that money cannot measure. This kind of quiet generosity may not make the news, but it changes lives. Someone might drop off a pot of soup without saying a word. A church group might organize clothing swaps or food drives. A woman may offer to babysit her neighbor's grandchildren while the mother picks up an extra shift. These moments are built not on wealth, but on community. Many older adults, especially women, have spent decades giving, raising children, caring for parents, cooking for friends, showing up when someone was in need. During a recession, these skills and instincts come back in powerful ways. It might be something as simple as teaching someone how to hem a pair of pants, or sharing a favorite recipe that feeds 6 people for under $10. But in those small acts, there is something sacred. Helping during hard times is not about having a full wallet. It is about having a full heart. And when you have lived long enough, you know that what people remember is not what you gave them, but how you made them feel. Heard, seen, supported. Even if you are on a fixed income, there are many ways to be generous. Share your time. Share your wisdom. Share what you can, when you can. Sometimes a conversation on the porch is worth more than any gift. And sometimes letting someone help you gives them the gift of feeling useful. Generosity is not about how much you give. It is about giving with intention, with warmth, with love. And that is something no recession can take away. 10. Planning for the inevitable. It is not an easy thing to talk about, but one of the most responsible and compassionate steps people take during times of financial uncertainty is preparing for the end of life. When money is tight, families begin to look more closely at the costs involved in funerals, burials, and other arrangements. And for many, those numbers are a wake-up call. A traditional funeral with a casket, viewing, burial plot, and headstone can easily cost over $10,000. For families who are already managing bills, healthcare costs, and limited incomes, that burden can feel impossible. In response, many are turning to more affordable, practical options, such as cremation, green burial, or prepaid arrangements. For older women especially, who have often been the emotional anchors of their families, this planning is not morbid. It is loving. It is thoughtful. It is a final way of saying, I want to make this easier for you. Some choose to write down their wishes, the music they want, the kind of service they envision, the people they hope will speak. Others go further, purchasing plans in advance so that their children and grandchildren will not have to make decisions while grieving. These are quiet gifts, less seen, but deeply felt. Talking about death is never easy, but avoiding the subject does not protect the people we love. In fact, it can leave them overwhelmed. Planning ahead is not giving up, it is giving peace. This kind of preparation also opens the door to meaningful conversations, sharing stories, passing down traditions, writing letters for loved ones to read later. It reminds everyone that our legacy is not in what we leave behind financially, but in the love and thought we share before we go. Recession or not, the truth is the same. We all leave someday. But how we prepare for that moment says a great deal about how we lived, with care, with wisdom, with grace. 11. Reconnecting with what matters. In the quiet moments of a recession, when spending slows and routines change, something unexpected happens. People begin to look around and notice what is still here, what has always been here, what never depended on a paycheck or a credit card. They notice the way sunlight comes through the kitchen window, the way their old dog still greets them like it is the best day ever. They notice that their daughter still calls every Sunday, and their neighbor still waves from across the street. These are the things that hold steady, even when everything else feels uncertain. When life becomes more limited, it does not always feel like a loss. Sometimes it feels like clarity. Without constant busyness or pressure to buy or do, people reconnect with the core of who they are. For older women, this return often feels familiar. Many have lived through decades of changes, economic, cultural, personal, and they know how to adapt. They also know that what matters most has never changed. That moment with a grandchild on your lap, that recipe you still know by heart, that letter from a friend you have read 10 times. These are not small things. These are the threads of a meaningful life. During a recession, some people feel afraid of losing, but others begin to realize they are gaining something too. A deeper appreciation for simple pleasures, a slower pace, a renewed sense of what they actually need and what they never did. This is not just about saving money. It is about recovering connection to self, to others, to the life you have built and the people you love. In the end, what matters most cannot be bought. It can only be noticed, nurtured, and remembered. And for those who take the time to look, a quieter life can be a richer one. What quiet wisdom teaches us. So, after all 11 signs, what have we really learned? We have seen that when the world around us grows more uncertain, many people begin to move more intentionally. They pause before spending. They rethink their routines. They pay closer attention to their time, their space, and their relationships. And through it all, one thing becomes clear. Hard times do not always make people harder. Often, they make people softer, more thoughtful, more grateful, more connected to what really matters. This kind of wisdom is not loud. It does not announce itself. It shows up in the small things, choosing to mend instead of buy, making soup instead of ordering out, sitting with a neighbor instead of scrolling past. These are the quiet, steady choices that hold families together, that keep homes warm, that remind us we are still in control of how we live, even when the economy is not. For those of us who have lived through many seasons, through high times and hard times, this kind of clarity is not new. We know that things pass, that strength is not about having more, but needing less. That joy is not found in what we purchase, but in what we pay attention to. So if you are finding yourself in a slower season, or if you are making changes to adjust with care, know that you are not alone. You are not falling behind. In many ways, you are walking ahead with a steadier step, a fuller heart, and a deeper sense of what truly matters. Thank you for spending this time with me. If something in this video spoke to you, I would love to hear about it. Feel free to share your thoughts, your stories, or even your own quiet signs of wisdom in the comments. You never know who you might encourage just by sharing your experience. Until next time, take care of yourself. take care of those around you. And remember, living wisely is not about having it all. It is about recognizing how much you already have.